Can the 2025 New England Patriots win the Super Bowl? I'm your host, Theo Deasnaus, joined alongside Ethan Hurwitz. And today we are going to talk about if they can accomplish that this season. But before we start talking about that, Ethan, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for having me.
Yep, of course. Um, yeah, so before we start talking about that, what are your overall thoughts on the season? We had you on, it was after the Vikings game, I think,
Yeah, it
or
was a while.
before
It was a
something.
while ago.
Yeah,
It
so,
was before the year.
So what are your thoughts on the year so
I
far?
think at this point you have to consider this season a success. Everyone went into the year thinking it would be something along the lines of 5 to 8 wins, maybe
Mm-hmm.
9. The fact that they're still in contention for the number one seed, the fact that we're even doing a podcast about if they can actually win the Super Bowl is kind of crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think regardless of how the season ends, I think you have to consider it a successful year. Drake May has progressed to a point that I don't think anyone thought he could.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Vrabel has immediately installed his culture, brought back what people expected the team to be. So at this point, they're just playing with house money. Whether they
Yeah.
get bounced round one, whether they win the Super Bowl, I think the season has to be chalked up as a success.
Yeah, especially for Drake May, like you mentioned. After week one, I made a post, and I don't know if you remember this, saying Drake May does just enough to lose every week. I got clowned in the comment sections, continue to get clowned in the comment section, and deservedly so. But we were at a point, or I was at a point where I was like, is Drake May the guy for this team? And yes, it was an overreaction, and I was more projecting. But now we're like, this guy's the MVP. This guy's having a Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson second year where he can go to the MVP and, in Patrick Mahomes' case, go to the AFC Championship game and compete with one of the best teams in the league. So, yeah, overall, you have to consider it a success in terms of Drake May. And since you have the quarterback, it's a success. And like you said, you have the head coach. Um, but yeah, so yeah, all right. So in prepping for this podcast, I separated teams that are going to make the playoffs, and I'll read through the AFC playoff picture right now. In terms of teams that I'm not worried about, I think they'll be teams that have good quarterbacks, but the Patriots have better rosters than. And then teams that I am worried about. And one of the teams that I am worried about is a little bit weird. They're not even in the playoffs at this point, but Um, I'm worried about them for some reason. So I'll run through the current picture at the 1 seed right now. It's the Broncos who just beat the Raiders to improve to 11-2. They're also on a 10-game win streak like the Patriots. Patriots took out the 2 seed. The Jaguars who beat the Colts are probably going to win the AFC South with Daniel Jones out for the year. The Steelers, that's a toss-up division. They beat the Ravens today. The 4 seed. The Bills at the 5 seed. Um, the Chargers at the 6 seed. The Colts at the 7 seed. And then on the bubble right now are the Houston Texans, the Kansas City Chiefs, and the Baltimore Ravens. All right. So for the teams that I think they will have no trouble beating, Pittsburgh, the Jaguars, and the Chargers. Um,
That's a fair assessment. I'd say that the Pittsburgh
yeah,
game is pretty much of an anomaly. They
yeah.
lost that game more than Pittsburgh beat them in week 3. So I think that's something that if they were to play Pittsburgh later in the playoffs, that's a game that they should easily walk through them and win.
Yeah, 100%. For the Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence is hit or miss. Sometimes he plays phenomenal. Sometimes he plays not phenomenal. The Patriots have a better roster. The Jaguars do have a good defense, um, but I don't think that will really hold the Patriots back. As for the Chargers, Justin Herbert, I didn't realize how bad he had been in the playoffs, but I looked up the stats. 39 for 75, which is a 52% completion percentage. This is through both playoff games. 515 yards, 2 touchdowns to 4 interceptions, which all came in the playoff game last year. A 60.7 QBR rate or QBR. So, yeah, not a great playoff stat line for Herbert. And then also, he blew the huge lead in 2022.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So you would agree with those three teams as easy teams?
Yeah, I'd say that I like Jacksonville. Trevor Lawrence is my starting quarterback in my fantasy team, and we just clinched a
Yeah.
playoff spot. So, but I like what Liam Cohen has done down there. I think Jacksonville's a sneaky team if they were to get hot going into the playoffs. But I think those three teams are the Patriots have better teams just top down. So those
Yeah.
are teams that if they were to get matched up on, those are games that the Pats should win definitely.
And I would say the Steelers are pretty unlikely to get matched up with because they're going to be first round exits, and then if they make the playoffs, they're going to win their division. So,
Yeah, I'd say that's the only scenario that the Pats would play whoever wins the AFC North, which is probably going to be Pittsburgh, is if
mhm.
the Pats are the one seed and all the home teams in the first round win, and then the Pats just end up hosting the four seed. But yeah, I'd say that's pretty unlikely at this point.
Yeah. Or if the Patriots have a downfall, the Bills win the division and they get the 5 seed.
Yeah,
Yeah. All right. For the good quarterback teams, the Ravens, the Chiefs, the Bills. The Bills, I was hesitant to put in this category because I still am pretty scared of the Bills. We'll see what happens on Sunday, but Josh Allen is obviously, in my opinion, I think he's the best quarterback in the NFL. James Cook is fantastic. He's having a fantastic year. The defense is not great at all. They have no downfield passing game. Their receivers are honestly terrible. Brandon Cooks came in last week and was the leading receiver. And then the Chiefs might not even make the playoffs, so they lose to Houston. And then the Ravens are also playing pretty poorly at the moment.
yeah. You hit on it again. I think Kansas City again, like Jacksonville, would if they were to get. I think a lot of teams just don't want them in the playoffs because they're a team that knows how to win.
Hmm.
Can definitely make things interesting if they were to sneak in the playoffs. I think Buffalo's at this point guaranteed a playoff spot, whether it's
Yep.
as a division winner or as a wild card. Um, yeah, I think Pittsburgh's going to win the division anyway, so I don't think Baltimore's a team to really worry about unless they get hot late in the year.
Yeah, and if they do get hot, they would have to beat the Patriots. So
Yeah, yeah. So
that
yeah,
would be
I
interesting.
I'd say that it's again I think Buffalo is probably the one team that you've said so far that's probably the biggest threat to the Patriots.
Hmm.
We'll see if I have to walk back those words next week when they come to town. But I mean,
Yeah.
so far it's the Patriots have played like they are should be considered a top two team in the AFC.
100%. And now for the two teams that I am most scared of, the Denver Broncos are the team that I'm most scared of. Um, just because that defense is so good. Nick Bonito, he is unreal as a pass rusher. He's so fast. He's so electric. He makes plays. He had the game-winning pass block or yeah, pass deflection to win the game against the Commanders last week. Um, and then the whole rest of that defense is good. And then also, I think Bo Nix is sneaky clutch. He's sneaky clutch. Yeah, I don't know.
They're finding
I'm
ways
kind of
to
scared of him.
they're finding ways to win. They're like Kansas City from last year. Bo Nix is one of those quarterbacks that he plays good. It's not the sexiest stat lines you'll see, but I think he's someone that isn't losing them games, and so he's
Hmm.
playing good football to the point where Denver pulls out these grimy games against teams that they should beat and are close with, and they should have lost to New York. They should have lost to Washington. There are games that they should lose, and Bo Nix is finding ways to keep them in it. And when they are in the lead, like Vegas today, he doesn't lose them the game. So I'd say that Denver right now, and they've clinched the tiebreaker over New England. So right now they're in the driver's seat. All they need to do is
Hmm.
not fall a game behind New England, but they got a tough schedule coming up.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, you pretty much hit on everything there. And then this is a team that's kind of surprising. The Texans are a team that I'm very scared to play in the playoffs. Once again, the best defense in the NFL. Uh, they've held opponents to fewer than 20 points in 9 games this season, which is the most in the NFL. Um, CJ Stroud is a good playoff quarterback. He already has 2 playoff wins in his career. And we'll see tonight more how good this Texans team is. They obviously beat the Bills a few weeks ago, but they play Kansas City tonight in a game that could pretty much eliminate Kansas City from playoff contention. Um, and what's the Texans' record? They're 7-5, so I guess it wouldn't eliminate them if they lost, but it's a pretty big game tonight on Sunday Night Football.
Yeah, whoever wins that game would have the head-to-head tiebreaker. So it's
Mhm.
if that's the argument that one of those teams gets into the playoffs, I think the Sunday night game, and we got like 8 minutes before that game kicks off. So if this comes
Yeah.
out well after that game, Again, we could
Mhm.
be completely wrong, but this game could have major impacts to if Houston gets in or not. And same for Kansas City.
Yeah. But yeah, so those are pretty much every team that's going to make the playoffs in the AFC. I think I had what I have like 8 teams, so obviously not all of those teams are going to make it, but that's kind of the overview right now. So after we went over that, do you think the Patriots can win the Super Bowl?
I don't. It's hard because like they got a good year for the AFC to be wide open,
Hmm.
and the fact that there's no real true juggernaut that everyone is fearing, I think is good for the Patriots. I think that obviously because they've been so bad the last few years, they got aided with a weak schedule this year, and I think you can't like you can't go against that. Like they've played bad teams, but they've also beaten the teams that they need to beat. So I
Hmm.
think on paper they should be a team that I think can definitely win the AFC. I think the NFC is just a lot more top heavy at the top of that conference that has teams that could probably win the Super Bowl. So
Yeah.
I'd say if I had to put money on it right now, I'd say that the Pats are my AFC champions, but I think the Rams and Seattle look really good to win it all. But I mean, who knows? I'd say New England though is one of that group of teams that can win it. I need to see them win a playoff game first before I can like truly put my stamp that this team can go all the way.
Yeah, exactly what you said there at the end. We need to see Drake May in the playoffs because if Drake May is Justin Herbert in the playoffs, for example, then they're not going very far in the playoffs. But if Drake May is Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs, then yes, they can compete for a Super Bowl. And some people may say, well, he's obviously not going to be Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl, but or in the playoffs. But we've never seen him play a playoff
Right.
game. What if he just becomes extremely clutch? He gets extremely better, and he leads the team to the Super Bowl. You never know.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
It's again. I think until the playoffs actually happens, I think you still have to look at the teams like Baltimore that's done it in the playoffs before. I think you have to look at Buffalo, Kansas City if they sneak in. Like those again, this year has been a weird year, so it's hard to truly say that New England is the team or Denver's the team
mhm.
or Jacksonville's the team. I think it's so wide open. I think that that's a good thing for the Patriots because there's no true favorite. In a way, that makes them the favorite because right now they have been probably the most complete team in that conference that they can then eke out some playoff wins and make it to the Super Bowl for the first time in years, which is crazy to say.
I know it is crazy to say, especially when you went 8-26 over the
Right.
last two
Yeah.
seasons, and all of a sudden 11 wins. Um, so yeah, it's pretty crazy. But you talk about the Patriots being a complete team, and it's really true. You look at some of the other teams in the AFC. The Broncos' offense is not great. They had a punt return for a touchdown today, so I'm assuming their special teams pretty good, and their defense is obviously good. But the Patriots have, I think, a top five offense, a top 10 defense, and maybe the best special teams in the NFL. So them being a complete team is 100% true. And yeah, complete teams win Super Bowls. You look at all the teams here over the 20-year dynasty. They were top five in all those categories, and again, they're top 10 in all of these categories. So yeah.
Yeah, they completely redid their offensive and defensive lines. I think it starts there because over the last few years, both of those units were really terrible. Like they could not protect the
Hmm.
quarterback, they couldn't get after the quarterback. I think just offensively and defensively, they were getting manhandled at the point of attack. They went out, they got their guys, they got 4 new starters on the offensive line. They got a bunch of new starters on the defensive line. They went out and spent a bunch of money to revamp that pass rush. I think that's where you win football games. It's where a physical coach like Mike Vrabel wants to win football games is in the trenches. I think it's done wonders for a team, especially keeping your young quarterback upright and letting him go through his progressions, and then you get to the deep balls that he's throwing. And it's just it feels like
Yeah.
their offense is just clicking at a rhythm we haven't seen
Hmm.
here in 10 years.
Yeah. The worst part about the Patriots over the last whatever 4 years is that their offense was awful. And then even last year the offense sucked. And now you make such a dramatic change from being the worst offense in the NFL with the worst offensive line and the worst receivers to being a top five offense in the NFL with the best quarterback in the NFL and not top five, not even top 20 group of receivers in the NFL. I'd say maybe top 20, just because Stephon Diggs and Kayshon Boutte are having really good seasons. And then the offensive line, also not the best in the NFL, but like you said, it's getting the job done, and it's one of the reasons why this team is so good this year. But yeah, and then to kind of keep it on the offensive line and kind of shine a more negative, if that even is an expression, a more negative light here, the injuries to the offensive line. Will Campbell, I believe it's a grade 3 MCL sprain. He's going to miss 4 to 6 weeks. Um, how big do you think that's going to be in these Bills Ravens games, even this Miami game, because that's a pretty big game? He's going to miss that game, right?
Yeah.
Or he'll be back.
Yeah, he'll be back for Week 18 would be the first game that he's back for. So he's going to miss Miami. And then, or is it Miami Week 18?
It's the Jets. He'll miss,
Yeah,
yeah,
so
Miami's
he's
week
going
18.
to miss the Jets.
Mhm.
But I mean, Vidarian Lowe played well in that Monday night game, so I think that gives
Mhm.
you some glimmer of hope that he can hold his own. Didn't allow a pressure to Brian Burns, so if that's something that you want to use to sort of push as your calling card for why they'll be fine without Will Campbell, so be it. But I think them losing both players on that left side is definitely
Mhm.
detrimental, obviously. And Jared Wilson hadn't had the best season. He's definitely been playing, pretty solid, and I think it hurts too. But yeah, losing your first round rookie at left tackle, it sucks. They're lucky they're in a position where they were at double digit wins or near double digit wins when it happens, so that it
Mhm.
wouldn't really impact the playoff push. They're really in the driver's seat to win the division now, so they
Yep.
can theoretically get there and clinch a playoff berth without him. I worry that if Vidarian Lowe and Ben Brown struggle to protect Drake May, quarterback goes down, pocket collapses, doesn't have time to throw, gets skittish, gets hurt, God forbid. So I
Mhm.
think if it strings on for, if Vidarian Lowe struggles against Buffalo
Yeah.
and it sort of progresses and bleeds into struggling against Baltimore, then you're going to have bigger issues. But if the Patriots can game plan and sort of run to the right side or use a running back to
Mhm.
help chip off the edge, they should be fine. I think they just don't put too much pressure on your backup lineman.
100%. And Vidarian Lowe is not going to have to face a defensive lineman or an edge rusher as good as Brian Burns for the next 3 weeks. You look at Buffalo, who they have Gregory Rousseau, right? That's their
Yeah,
star edge
Joey
rusher. I don't
Bosa,
think he's
who was
yeah,
out this
Joey
week.
Bosa. Yeah. So and then Baltimore, who I don't even know who they have.
They traded Owe. Um, Matabuke's hurt, so yeah, they have a banged up defensive line in
Hmm.
general. So
Yeah, and
I
then
think it really becomes down to the Miami game, Jets game. Like it for all we know, if they clinch a playoff spot and they want to hold Campbell out just to rest him for the playoffs, they might.
hmm
Obviously, they would only do that if they've clinched a spot. But I think at this point, Miami and New York don't look like teams that really should worry them. So I think that
hmm
if you can get through Buffalo, it should be easy skating for Low.
Yeah, and you talked about Ben Brown also being a new starter. He's only started one game this season before the game against the Giants, and he was fantastic against the Giants. I think he only allowed 2 pressures the entire game. Um, and this is just my take, but from kind of hearing everything and watching some film, I'm not going to say that I watched the entire game, but I watched a little bit of film. Um, Ben Brown kind of looked better to me than not than Vidarian Lowe than Jared Wilson has. And I'm not saying you start Ben Brown when Jared Wilson comes back, but maybe you have to think about it.
Yeah, it gives you options at least. It's
Hmm.
something where if Wilson's not 100%, I think the team could feel comfortable going with Brown as opposed
Hmm.
to wanting to rush their hurt rookie back into the starting lineup. So, I mean, obviously you'd love to have Jared Wilson back. I think that the team wouldn't have named him the starter if they didn't want him in the lineup. So I think that
Yep.
again, like Lowe, the team would probably feel comfortable leaving Brown in there for a little bit if Wilson's not ready to go.
Hmm. Yep. So I think that pretty much wraps up the Super Bowl conversation. Um, All right, I don't know if I actually said this on the podcast or I said this before the podcast, but if you've watched this podcast before, which not a lot of people have, so I'm going to explain it anyways. But um, you know that we do trivia on here, and it's usually Austin asking me the questions. But I'm gonna ask Ethan some questions now, and these are some pretty hard questions. I came up with 3 questions. I'll go easy to hard
Okay.
first, or easy. Yeah, this is a pretty easy one, I would say. But the first question is the infamous divisional round game against the Raiders in the '70s. Who had the roughing the passer call on Ken Stabler? Who was the player?
Sugar Bear Hamilton, Ray Hamilton.
Yep, a pretty easy one to
Yeah.
start off.
Easy to some. I feel like that's easy for me, but again, I'm a nerd at this stuff, so the '70s football comes easy to me.
Yeah, so that's why I said easy.
Yeah,
You got to know
yeah.
your audience. Yeah. All right, this one a little bit harder. This is the one I talked about before the show about Robert Kraft, and it's actually about his late wife Myra Kraft. So Robert Kraft met Myra Kraft in college, and Myra Kraft actually had a boyfriend. This story is a little weird, but yeah, she had a boyfriend at the time, and then she kind of just like blew him off to go on a date with Robert Kraft. But on that date, what significant event occurred?
Did he like ask her like marry like propose to her? It was something where like
Very close.
it was something
She
where
proposed to
she
him.
proposed to him. I knew it was
Yeah.
some they got proposed to really early. I
Yeah.
didn't know if it was the first date or the second date, but I there was a proposal of some sort.
Yeah, so I read The Dynasty when I was in 8th grade, and then I was sick from school a few weeks ago, and so I started reading it again, and I got to that part, and I was like, "What?
Yeah.
I do not remember this. Like, this is crazy." And I don't know. I must have just like not had a reaction to it in 8th grade because I was in 8th grade at the time. I'm not that much older now. I'm in what am I in? I'm a junior in high school, so like I don't know. Maybe just the maturity. I was like, "What? She proposed on the first date, and why is her mom covering up for her when she has a boyfriend? Like, what is going on here?" But it ended up working out.
Clearly.
This was the 1960s, I think. 50s, 60s. I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah. All right. This one. What's the book called that Bob Hildenberg wrote? You know what I'm talking about? Like the huge
Oh,
book.
that's like all page, like the one that's like the
Yeah.
700 page. Yeah,
hmm
I don't know what
Yeah.
it's
So I
called,
pulled that
but
one out.
yeah.
I pulled that one out for this
Oh
question.
boy.
This is a tough one. Who has attempted the most passes in a single season at running back for the New England Patriots?
At running back.
Yes,
Um.
I'd never heard of this guy.
Never. Okay. Okay. So the running back attempted the passes.
Yeah, he attempted 11 in one season.
11 in one year. Okay.
He completed 6 of them.
It's clearly someone. I'm gonna go with Carl Garrett.
No, it's Dick Christie.
No idea. Would not have
Yeah,
pulled that out.
yeah. I'd never heard of him. I don't remember who completed the most, but he wasn't even the guy that completed the most. It was someone else completed 7.
I'm.
So,
The football back then was a weird time where you had the running backs throwing it, you had the quarterbacks kicking it, and the receivers playing
yeah.
defense. But yeah,
Mhm.
no, I that is one that I would not have gotten.
Yeah. If you ask me questions about the Patriots from that era, the 60s, that happened in 1960, even the 70s, and really the 80s too, I was born in 2009, so I do not have the best ball knowledge, and I know that's not an excuse from that time, but I'm pretty good on stuff that happened in the 2000s.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, I would not have gotten
no,
any of those right.
that was a lost cause from the start.
Yeah, I had to pull that one out.
Yeah,
I was like, what can I do to make this extremely hard? Because I don't know if you remember the quiz that I posted a while ago.
yeah.
Yeah, you got all those right. So I was like, I got
I mean, I saw it. I was like, oh, this is gonna be one where I'm gonna get mad if I don't get all of them right.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was more like recent things, and
yeah.
nobody got 100%. Like, and they were like, "How does that make me a bandwagon if I don't remember who intercepted Patrick Mahomes in a 2023 December game?"
People get really upset at the term bandwagon,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to like knowing trivia, which I've never
Mhm.
really understood. Like, you could be a fan without knowing
Yeah.
the minute
Exactly.
stuff, but some people, if they don't get everything right, like they get so upset. I think the bandwagon just hits a chord with a lot of people,
Yeah.
because a lot of people just don't like the idea of bandwagoning, which is, I mean, to each his
Mhm.
own. But yeah, New England's got good fans anyway, so it's half of them aren't bandwagons, and you got so many people in New England that are just like crazy like ball nerds that
Yeah.
not everyone can know who did X, Y, and Z in week 14 of
Uh-huh.
10 years ago. So, I
Hmm.
mean,
Yeah.
I guess it takes a special kind to remember all the ridiculous stuff.
Yeah. But I made that post, I remember, and it wasn't even that long. It was like 5 weeks ago. But I made that post because I was kind of getting mad, and I shouldn't have gotten mad. But I've gained like 1,000 followers this season just because the Patriots are good,
Yeah.
and I'm just like sitting there like, dude, these people weren't even around last year. They don't know the struggle. They kind of just hopped on the bandwagon. Like, I'm not saying that they weren't Patriots
Yeah.
fans. Just like they didn't watch the games last year. And I know so many people like this. I'm like, it's like, why do you guys get to take the success in when I had to watch the 6-0 game against the Chargers last year? Or not last year, in 2023, when Tyquan Thornton had like a 49-yard run, and that was the only highlight of the game.
Yeah.
And these people were out apple picking, even though that was a December game. It's like, oh, it just pissed me off at the time. Obviously, I don't have a problem with it anymore, but I was just like, yeah, so you're a bandwagon if you don't know
Yeah.
that. Um, but yeah, oh, um, speaking of bandwagons, I don't know if you know this podcast called like the Ball Talk, something about balls. It's like a football
Yeah.
podcast. But they went to Gillette Stadium last week for the Patriots Giants Monday Night Football game, and they did like a keep four, cut four. And one of the keep four, cut fours was John Hanna. And obviously, John Hanna is the greatest offensive lineman, debatably, in NFL history at guard.
Yeah.
And this guy's like, who?
I'd keep him.
And I was like, yeah, obviously,
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
like the second best player in Patriots history. But the guy said, who? And I was like, no way. How do you not know who John Hanna is as a Patriots fan?
There's a lot of people that don't, and I think the Patriots were so bad for so many years that like it just not a lot of people grew up with the Patriots in their family anyway. So like it wasn't like something where you grew up and your dad would talk about the Pats or your grandpa would talk about the Pats. They were so bad they were blacked out in the area that people would
Yeah.
become Jets or Giants fans. So I think
Hmm.
it's not even like a lot of people just have no idea about the 60s and 70s and 80s just because it's not passed down from their family just because of how bad the Pats were for so many years.
Yeah, they wouldn't show the games unless they were sold out.
Yeah.
Um, Back in that time, and they didn't sell out
No.
because they stunk. And yeah, so my grandpa was actually a Giants fan. I think my dad was also a Giants fan back in the '80s with Lawrence Taylor, and then he still liked them up until they beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl. Um, but now they're both fully Patriots fans, Giants haters.
Yeah.
So yeah, also my grandpa lived in New York, so
It gives them
that's why
some
he's a Giants
excuse.
fan. Yeah.
Yeah.
But now he's a Patriots fan, so he could be a bandwagon towards the Patriots if you look at it that way. Um, all right. So I saw that you did an interview with Drake Maylover,
Yeah.
and obviously Drake Maylover, he's everywhere,
Taking the world by
but
storm.
taking the world by storm.
Yep.
How did that even go down? Did you get on a call with him? Did you DM him on
No,
Instagram?
he follows me on Instagram, so I just reached out to him, and I specifically did not want to know his identity. I wanted to keep appearances up and didn't want to reveal who he was, just because I think that's fun. The fact that no one knows who he is.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, like I know the area of Massachusetts that he lives in. I know his age, and that's really all I know about him. But
Yeah.
it's he's just a Pats fan. It's really
Mm-hmm.
nothing special about him, and he didn't
Yeah.
really see himself as something crazy. He just sort of was a Pats fan that somehow took over the world because of his Instagram.
Yeah. I DM'd him a bunch of times, not a bunch of times, but I DM'd him last year early on. I was like, "You want to come on this podcast?" He was like, "Yeah, I'd totally be down." And then I kept asking him. He was like, "Yeah, just not this time." So then fine. And then I was like, "Hey, you still down to come on this podcast or the podcast?" And he just still hasn't responded. So he's gotten too big for
He's
me.
got to be one of the people that
Sadly.
you got to put in witness protection program and hide his face, blur his face, blur
Yeah.
his voice. I think the fact that he stays anonymous is good. I like that.
Yeah.
I think it keeps appearances up.
Hmm. Yeah. That would be pretty cool though.
Yeah.
To meet him and also to be him. just starting a lover account because there are so many people now. Every single Patriots player has a lover account
Yeah.
now. Every single player in the NFL pretty much has a lover
There's a
account.
lover account. There's an enjoyer account. There's an
Yeah.
appreciator account.
Hmm.
Everyone tries to replicate the glory that I guess the Drake May one has.
Yeah. I remember when I first saw that, I was like, who is this guy? And it was like beginning of 2024, and it was like the post where it was like Drake May projected stats in his career versus Tom Brady's actual stats. And it was like all better. I was like, what? Who is this guy? He has like a lot of followers, but I've never heard of him. And then yeah, he's just gained so many more followers. Always scares me when he gets banned, though. I'm like,
Yeah,
yeah, I don't know.
I don't. Who knows about the Instagram banning process? That
Hmm.
I don't understand.
Yeah, I always get nervous that I'm gonna get banned. That's why I started a backup account for myself, just in case. I have like 100 followers, but you know what? It's better than zero.
Just a backup.
Yeah, but yeah, it's pretty scary because like you work so hard to put so much into it, and then you get banned, and it's bad. And you don't even. It's like these people are getting banned for no reason.
Yeah. Again, it's like I have no idea how they determine
Hmm.
who gets banned or what, but social media is a wild place.
Yeah, you ever been like shadow banned or
I'm sure I have.
anything?
I'm sure I have. I don't know if I couldn't tell you the specifics of if I was or not, but I'm sure I've been on the internet long enough that I'm sure I've been shadow banned.
Mm. One time I was logged out. Like they logged me out of my account, and it was like you have a certain amount of days to get back. And this was early 2023. I had like 100 followers, but I was so nervous. But I got it back. So yeah, that was cool. Um, what else we got? David Andrews went on the podcast, talked about how he doesn't think Drake May should win the MVP, or he doesn't want Drake May to win the MVP. He thinks he should. Any thoughts on that?
I I think Drake May has talked about it enough that he clearly doesn't care about the MVP. Anytime
Hmm.
he's asked about it, he's deflecting to his teammates or Baker Mayfield. But
Hmm.
I think that clearly he wants to win. Clearly he wants to end the season holding up a Super Bowl trophy as opposed to an MVP trophy. So yeah, I think his intentions are MVP. I don't really think or Super Bowl. I really don't think that that's something that if it gives him a larger chip on his shoulder, so be it. But I think it'd be cool to
Hmm.
have him be the MVP. Right now, it's probably him and Stafford, 1A, 1B. But I think at the end of the day, everyone would rather have him hold up a Super Bowl MVP trophy as opposed to the regular season MVP.
Yeah, 100%. Because when was the last time a Patriot won MVP? It was 2017. The Patriots
2017,
didn't
yeah.
win a Super Bowl. And, nobody thinks of that season as the year Tom Brady won MVP. They think of it as the year the Patriots lost to the Eagles in the Super Bowl.
Right.
And Tom Brady was strip sacked by Brandon Graham. So, yeah. Um, yeah, I definitely agree with you there about that. Any last thoughts?
I think hat and T-shirt game for the Pats coming up. I think that
Oh,
that's
yeah.
ridiculous. I think it's crazy. I didn't expect them to be this good this quickly. I think that they're a win away from hosting a playoff game for the first time since
Hmm.
2019, which is nuts. I think it's a testament to how good they've been, the culture that they've instilled, um, and Mike Vrabel bringing in his guys, replacing the old regime. I think those are just the lasting words, and it's crazy to have winning football in New England again. It's been relatively not that long, but it feels like a long time.
Hmm. And if they win, you said they host a playoff game. How many playoff games have you been to?
Oh, one, 15.
Wow, That's more Patriots games than I've been to.
Yeah, I season tickets helps.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess every home playoff game since 2010, which I
Hmm.
might have miscounted by one or two, but whatever that number equates to, that would be my answer.
Would you say Jacksonville was the best one? 2017.
I think for years I've always said the Baltimore game, 2014, the divisional game. That's
Hmm.
always I've always said that was my favorite game. That's been like the best game I've ever been to.
Hmm.
Jacksonville's up there. I have my list of rankings that I had. Yeah, I bu- my when I ranked my top 100 games, I had Baltimore number 8 and Jacksonville number 10. So they're like 1A, 1B. But yeah, those are definitely the two playoff games that I'd say are the
Mhm.
best that I've been to.
What's number one?
All time in Pat's history,
Yeah.
um, I Seahawks Super Bowl.
Oh, I
I
thought this was games that you went to.
Oh no, this is just games in general.
Yeah. I was like,
I'd say the
eh,
Baltimore. No, if that was
eh.
the eighth best game, that's
Yeah, I was like,
ridiculous. The ninth.
what?
No, but I'd say the Baltimore playoff game is probably the best game I've been to. I think the
Mhm.
energy there was electric, and the rest of the games above that were Tuck Rule game, Chiefs AFC Championship game, and Super Bowls. So yeah, I'd say
Mhm.
that's the best game I've been to.
Yeah, that game. That was my first year watching football. I was 5 years old. Um, and I remember there's a bunch of people at my house for that game. And I was so mad when I don't know who it was, but the tight end for the Ravens caught the touchdown. I think it was right before halftime. And I was like, oh, we're
Dennis
going to
Pitta.
lose this game. Wow, that's a crazy play. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah, he caught the touchdown. I think it was Deron Harmon on him in coverage.
yeah.
I
It
was
was
like,
probably either him or Chung.
yeah, I was like, oh, we're gonna lose this game. Um, and then they didn't. The double pass. I got a shirt with the JE11, the
Yeah,
double pass. So that was one of my favorite games. But actually, I'd say my favorite game in Patriots history, outside of the Seahawks Super Bowl, was the AFC Championship game where they beat the Colts 45-7. The Deflategate game. I don't know why. It's just LeGarrette Blount ran for a bunch of yards in that game. James Devlin had a touchdown. Nate
Nate
Solder had a
Solder.
touchdown.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
that was just a pure beatdown. It didn't matter if the balls were fully inflated or
hmm
completely deflated, or if it was raining or not, or snowing or sleeting. Like that was a game the Patriots were not going to lose at all.
hmm
They completely uh, wire to wire dismantled that team.
Yeah, that was a fun one to watch. It's stress free.
Yeah,
Um, and I actually watched the DVD on Three Games to Glory so much for that game that it doesn't play past the third quarter anymore. But yeah, so and you know what's funny about that game is that they played like a similar. Not the game wasn't similar, but they played the Colts in the divisional round the year before, and it was raining in that game too. And the first time that because I was 4 years old during that game, the first time, and I had no idea that that happened until recently, and I was like, wait a minute, was that they played? And I was like,
it's
deja
yeah,
vu.
very similar games.
Yeah. So, um, that was weird, but yeah, I would say the best Patriots game that I've been to actually happened last week. That was definitely the best Patriots game I have ever been to. The vibes were immaculate.
Yeah, it was
I
great energy.
mhm. Oh my, that is probably a top five Patriots game. Not that I've been to, but that I've watched ever. Just the way that game started. You know, the Patriots this year, they're known for going down early, and they didn't go down early. The hit on Jackson Dart.
Yeah,
So many legendary moments in that game. That Younghoe Koo missed the ball. Um, what else happened? The Ellis fumble on Olszewski, knocking the Y off his logo or the
yeah,
N or whatever. So yeah, that was
yeah.
very
It
cool.
was a electric game. The atmosphere there was
hmm
great. When you watch the highlights, you could feel the energy there too. So that was,
hmm
I mean, that was a good game to go to.
Yeah, and if you watch my highlights on my Instagram, you don't see what happened. I was getting flamed uh, in my comment section by Patriots Red Zone. You know, your good friend for my camera work there on the Marcus Jones punt return. I called. I said, "All right, I'm gonna video this because he's gonna run this back for a
Yeah,
touchdown." He leaves the frame about 2 seconds into the video and never comes back in it. Marcus Jones, and it
you
was the worst videography I've ever had in my entire life. I don't know if you saw that.
you can feel the energy in the video anyway. Um,
Yeah,
but
you
yeah, no,
definitely could.
I did see Grant's comment there. It was,
Yeah,
just immediately you lose him.
yeah. And then the booty touchdown. I tried to video that too. He wasn't in the frame at all in the entire video. I was
Yeah,
like, all right, I gotta get the video from Twitter or whatever. Yeah. All right. That's pretty much all we got here. Thank you for coming on the show.
thank,
Um,
glad to join anytime.
Follow Ethan at Gillettenation on Instagram. And follow the podcast at Patriots Real Time on every single social media you can think of. So yeah, we'll see you for a Bills preview game or preview pod. All right, there we go.
Awesome.
Oh. For the first like 15 minutes of that, I could like hear myself talk, and I was